welcome to the Gun Talk After Show. If you're on hold, stay there. We'll try to get to everybody. Every call from every listener, no matter what the issue or problem, is important to us. So stick around for a little while as we call Tom Gresham back to the microphone and let our hair down a little bit, along with a little help from our show producer, Jim Kinsey, who will offer some words of wisdom, and Gun Talk Tech extraordinaire Michael will be checking in. And now, once again, here's Tom.
All right, we are currently in the After the Show show. Welcome again. Tom Gresham here. I'm not going to give out the phone number because I don't want you to have it. Because could get anyway. Actually, we've got several people who are on hold. We got Jim and Michael in the studio here. Hey, guys.
How you doing, buddy?
Salutations.
Good. All right. We were talking during one of the breaks. I can't remember, Jim, it may have been you, I can't remember, was asking about if you're switching from one handgun to another, and we were talking about safeties, and do you use a safety on these little bitty guns that come with safeties, particularly if they're the polymer. And I know that some people are going to say, oh, yeah, you always use the thumb safety. Well, I know a lot of people who don't use the thumb safety. Michael, you're actually a firearms instructor. When you hear somebody say, I'm not going to use the thumb safety, does that give you heartburn?
Not necessarily. My biggest thing is that make sure you're familiar with whatever equipment you're using so that it's all muscle memory. So if you're not going to train with a safety, fine, but just know where your trigger's supposed to be. Your trigger finger, rather.
Yeah, exactly. And Jim, you were asking about switching guns. I mean, I know most people don't switch guns. I do just because of the nature of the business, but you have several guns. You go back and forth, don't you?
Yeah, I like to go back and forth. A lot of times it depends what I'm wearing. If I've got the room, I'll carry full size. If I don't, I adapt. I kind of beg to differ with both you guys about safeties because I just err on the side of caution. I train with safety, and every gun I carry has a safety. I own a Glock. I don't carry it for that reason. Everybody's different. You know, I get it. I understand your school of thought. It's just different than mine.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I grew up with 1911, so I'm used to thumb safety, but I really like the polymer guns that don't have a safety. I will say, and it was funny because you were asking, do you sometimes not put the safety on when you should or off, and how do you switch? I have shot so much when my hand hits a 1911, it comes out of the holster, it just feels like a 1911 in my hand, and my thumb automatically goes on top of the safety and sweeps it off as I come on target. When I pick up an XD, an M&P, a Glock, it feels like a polymer gun when it comes out of the holster, and I know I don't have a safety. I never think about it. But yesterday, I was using a full-size M&P that had a thumb safety, and it was weird. I was trying a few practice draws with it, and it was hard for me to get my brain to take the safety off because it felt like a polymer gun in my hand, if that makes any sense. But
is there any drawback to always activating a safety? If it's just not there, it's not there, or deactivating rather. If it's not there, it's not there, and what harm have you caused? If it's part of your motion of a 1911, let's say, and you're with a striker fire type.
Well, but it would put your thumb in a weird position if you're shooting a striker fired polymer gun. You're right. I'm talking about right-handed shooters now.
Right.
Ideally, I don't want my thumbs pointing upward, which you kind of have to do with a thumb safety.
Right.
You have to rest on top. If you want the very best shooting position and you want to recover from recoil the fastest, you extend both of your thumbs as far forward on the gun as possible, point them down so that they're right along the side of the gun. And if they're pointing up in the air, you cannot recover from recoil as fast. So, yeah, there's a reason to keep your thumbs down if you don't have a thumb safety. The only reason that you have them up would be the thumb safety, and that's an accommodation, if you will.
Well, deactivating a thumb safety anyway should be part of your draw stroke, right?
Sure, if you're using a gun with a thumb safety.
Well, exactly. So, I mean, you should incorporate that as part of your training ritual. Regardless, you have to have the fundamentals of a draw stroke down anyway.
Well, it kind of points out that maybe we're making a mistake in switching back and forth. Pick a gun and learn to use it. And then I always say, if you really like your carry gun, make sure you get a second one because sure enough, they're going to stop making it.
I started out, when I started carrying, with a striker-fired Glock pistol. I've never had a handgun with an external safety, so I'm kind of coming at this from an opposite end here.
Gotcha.
Where I'm afraid that I'm going to have to completely change everything I do in my training if I go with something with an external thumb safety.
I get that.
I think you would have trouble going to that because you would not be used to sweeping that safety off with your thumb. I think that would be a problem for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I would prefer to carry AR-15, but the holsters are so hard to find.
Yeah, no kidding. Although I did just read a piece that Tiger McKee wrote. I was surprised me. He was talking about favorably about AR-15 pistols as a home defense gun, being small, move around corners, putting a laser and red dot sight on it. Now that's fairly interesting. It's kind of like a
ultra short barrel.
Yeah, PDW, a personal defense weapon, like having a short barrel rifle, except that this was legal. So it was kind of interesting. I didn't expect that from Tiger, but he's a real thinker. When he tried it for about a year, played with it before he wrote about it. So that was interesting. Hey, let's take a call. Line 1, William's with us, Pleasanton, California. Hey, William, you made it to the after show.
Hey, how you doing, Tom?
I'm good. What's on your mind?
Well, I was wondering if from time to time you might consider trying to line up getting some of these gun show podcasters on. There's a whole bunch of them, and some of them are really, really good. Some of them, every week they're reminding you to join the NRA, join your local groups, listen to Tom Gresham, and they've just they got a local flavor that the 2 or 3 big shows out there don't have. I'm wondering if you might be interested in calling attention to some of those guys.
You mean guys that are operating like in just a region? They're talking like a Pennsylvania podcast or a Midwest or that kind of a thing?
That kind of thing, yeah.
Okay. Honestly, I got to admit, I've not thought about it, but it's an interesting idea. We could maybe be able to pick up some local or regional flavor or their issues or concerns in an area. So, William, we're going to look into that. I appreciate it. Good idea. Thank you, sir, for calling. I'm going to pick up George on line 3 out of New York with OC Shooters. Hey, George.
How's it going?
Good. What's happening in New York?
I just called in to brag.
Okay, go for it.
Well, I went to the Great American Outdoor Show in Harrisburg, PA.
Oh, yeah.
Well, one of the groups had the Pyramid Air, had a nice range set up where you'd shoot
the Airguns
and all that other stuff with air rifles and air pistols and all this other stuff. And of course, they had a little drawing there for one of the for the guns, so I ended up winning it.
You dog, you. We ought to tell people this huge show in Harrisburg. Last year it got canceled because the people who put it on, Reed Exhibitions, decided that they would not allow any AR-15s or anything like that there, and basically the whole thing got canceled. The NRA picked up the show, and so they did it this year. So, George, in your opinion, how was the show with the NRA running it?
I really don't have any idea. I was only there for about 8 hours, and I don't think I walked past half of it.
It's huge, isn't it?
If being lost for 7 out of 8 hours, I knew where I was when I was in the entrance and when I was at the exit. But
you know what?
A couple of times I tried to go back to where I was and couldn't. But I just
doesn't matter because you're surrounded by guns. It's all good. When you're surrounded by guns, it's all good.
Pre-charged, and when I called them up, when they told me, I said I don't have anything to pump it up with, and they said, well, we'll give you a pump too. And I said, oh, by the way, I'm having a Friends of the NRA dinner. Can you kick anything in for that? And so they donated almost $1,000 worth of stuff for the NRA dinner. So
fabulous. All right, George, listen, thanks for that report. I appreciate that. Hey, guys, have you ever shot any of the adult air guns?
I have not.
A couple. I don't know what I was shooting. It was a buddy of mine. But it was interesting. A lot of the same functionality as a regular, say, rifle. But obviously the weight's not quite there, and you're not shooting a bullet.
The FPS is pretty respectable, though. Some of those really crank.
Yeah, like 1,200 feet per second stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same kind of velocities you get out of a .22 long rifle. Now, you're using a lighter bullet, but some of them have heavier bullets, and you could actually hunt with them. I mean, you could shoot small game, and there's Crossman had one, and they said you could hunt deer with it. It was that powerful.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Well, I think they were saying like 50 yards and in, which would make it kind of like a muzzleloader type of rig. It's kind of interesting, though.
Now, some of them are CO2 operated, aren't they, with external
you got
tanks?
some CO2. Well, the CO2 work off those little cartridges. They aren't real powerful. But the ones with the external tanks, those are using air, like a scuba tank. And those go up to 3,000 PSI. So you can imagine what kind of velocity you can get out of that.
You'd shoot all day with a tank of that, I would think.
Yeah, what I want, I want to rig up a deal where I have a scuba diver's pack on. I have the tank on my back and rigged up. And because these are not firearms, you understand. Air guns are not firearms. You could go full auto.
Ooh.
Yeah, there. See, both the guys go, oh.
You'll burn out a barrel, Gresham.
Yeah, that's right. With all that. No, I do that every week on the radio because I'm full of hot air. That's what burns out barrels. There you go. Hey, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back. We'll pick up Keith and Kurt. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.
At Double Tap Ammunition, we hand inspect every round that we make, and we use only the best components to give you the best ammunition on the market. Try us out at www.doubletapammo.com and use the promo code GUNTALK for 10% off your order.
You already know Liberty Safes are great values. Now they're offering an even sweeter deal for Gun Talk listeners. At libertysafe.com, click on the Fat Boy safe and type in Tom. Liberty will give you up to $250 off your purchase. Protect the things you value most. libertysafe.com, click the Fat Boy safe, promo code TOM, save up to $250. That's libertysafe.com. libertysafe.com.
TopGunSupply.com carries a large selection of fine firearms and accessories. Get all the parts you need for your Sig Sauer, HK, and Glock pistols. Grips, screws, recoil springs, sights, barrels, magazines, holsters. The list goes on. Our knowledgeable sales staff, professional service, great prices, and super fast shipping are here to help you. Check us out today. TopGunSupply.com. TopGunSupply.com.
Be sure and register for the XS Sights Love at Front Sight giveaway. Grand prize winner gets a Remington 870 Tactical Express Shotgun with XS front and rear sights, custom lasered with the XS Sight and Gun Talk logos. 10 winners will win an XS Sights Good Guy swag bag, complete with a $200 gift certificate to put toward a pair of XS Sights. Enter to win right now at guntalk.com/win through February 28th. Good luck, and now back to Tom.
All right, we are back from our break. And for Keith and Kurt, just so you know, we are happy to have you here. Let's do that first. Let's go to Keith on line 2 out of Alaska. I think Keith.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. How are you? There, we found you. We were wondering if you're wandering around the wilds of Alaska. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Actually, I was on hold and just listening. I wasn't expecting you to talk to me.
Oh, no. If you're on the line, we're going to talk to you. So tell me, where do you go shooting around Wasilla? Where do you go?
Well, I can shoot out in my yard, and Birchwood is the local range.
Right.
And the Matt Valley range is the indoor range over towards Palmer.
Okay, yeah, and I've been to the Birchwood airport and the range over there. That's a long time ago now, but I've got some friends who shoot skeet, I believe. They're shooting skeet and sporting clays at Birchwood. And, you know, the weird part is, at least it sounds weird to people down here who don't know, and you can fill us in, these guys shoot in a league all through the winter in Alaska.
Yeah, I believe they shoot all winter.
Yeah, I mean, I know there are people here saying, well, wouldn't you just like hunker down? And they don't understand that when you're in Alaska, you keep going during the winter, don't you?
Well, if you didn't, you wouldn't. You'd lose half a year.
At least, that's right. And winter comes early and stays late, man. And everything's lighted because, of course, it's dark. For a lot of the time, the days are it's not dark the whole time, but the days are shorter. So, but right now you're in this wonderful period where the days are starting to get longer. You're probably picking up close to 5 minutes a day at this point.
Yeah, just about. I think it's about 6 minutes in Anchorage.
Yeah. So you get about 6 minutes longer of daylight a day, so the days are a half an hour longer every week. You can really see the difference. It's a wonderful time. I thoroughly enjoyed the time I spent in Alaska. So, All right, Keith, I tell you what, we're going to put you back on hold so you can keep listening, but we're going to go down to Kurt and talk to him on line 4. Hey, Kurt.
Hey, Tom. I was doing the same thing Keith was doing here. I just wanted to listen to you guys. Questions.
You're not getting off that easy.
There is
That's
no
right.
escape.
No free rides here. We get to talk about guns. What kind of shooting do you like to do, Kurt?
Mainly pistols.
Well, what now?
And,
What kind
and I've got a bad bug because I've got all kinds of different pistols.
So if you said, okay, I'm going to take 3 of my guns to the range, which 3 are you going to grab and go have fun with?
Probably, let's see, my Dan Wesson. I've got a bobtail. I really love that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, what other one? Oh, I've got a SIG AR I picked up too recently.
Oh, you
I like that.
Okay.
And then I've got too many choices here.
I know.
Oh, for 22, I picked up one of those the ultralight 2245s that Ruger makes.
Ruger. Isn't that a nice pistol?
Oh, it's incredible.
Now, did you happen to get the one that has the weird color anodized barrel on it?
Yes, I went all the way, whole hog.
You got the gun bling, yes.
Yeah. I was seriously, I wanted to get a suppressor, silencer, whatever they call them these days.
Right.
At some point too.
So
but then I heard that they were going to try to keep you from doing that or something like that. They were going to get rid of the
trust.
Yeah, the trust. Thank you, the trust.
Yeah. I don't know if that's going to happen. We're keeping an eye on it, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. They were going to actually require each person on the trust to have to get the background check. And what they're really trying to do is get it back to where your local law enforcement officer can deny all of the requests, because that's, unless you're going through a trust, your local law enforcement officer has to sign off on a request for silencer or full auto. And in a lot of places, they just simply won't do it. So it's a ban, although they don't say it's a ban. It's just the cops, the local sheriff won't allow that. And that's why if you do it through a trust or an LLC, you do not have to ask Mother May I of the law enforcement officer, and you can get it without that. So this effort to require everybody to have to do a background check if you're in a trust, all that is a way for the gun banners to say, we're going to put it back in the hands of the police, the CLEO, the chief law enforcement officer, so that he can turn them all down. That's all that's going on there. But I don't know that that's going to happen. We're keeping an eye on that. All right, Kurt, I appreciate that. Guys, have either of you guys had a chance to shoot that Ruger 2245? It feels like a 45, but it's a 22.
I was actually going to ask you about that. I've never heard of it. So
okay. What they did is the grip on this 22 pistol feels like a 1911. The angle and the shape of it. So when you hold it up in your hand, it has the grip angle and everything about like a 1911, but it's a Ruger 22 pistol. And you're familiar with the Mark III pistols.
Right. Mm-hmm. I have one of those.
But they're great pistols, and this is... it's a 22 masquerading as a 45, if you will.
Well, it'd be great training, not only for cost, but just you practice with that, and you grab your real 1911, and you're familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can we back up a little bit, Tom, and talk about suppressors?
Yeah.
I was looking at one for the AR, and the guy I talked to had suggested I go for 308 cal,
right?
Because that way I could put it on a 308 or a 223.
Correct.
And the DB loss or difference between the proper caliber and the oversize is so minimal, wouldn't be really worth buying two and the cost involved.
Right. Probably a good idea because that way you can put it on a 308. Actually, you can put it on anything 308 or smaller.
Right.
So if you want to stick it on a 7mm or 6.5 or anything else, you could.
Well, honey, Tom said it's okay to buy another gun because the suppressor will fit it.
That's right. No, you know the deal, Jim. Anytime somebody says, can I buy? Yes, of course you can. You should buy that gun. We all have to stick together in our addiction here.
Yes, he's the great enabler.
That's right. So if you get one that's simply set up for the 223, clearly it has a hole that's only 223 in diameter. The 308, yeah, you're probably going to lose. What did they tell you? Like a couple of dB?
It was only a couple dB, yeah. It was under 4 dB.
It's not much.
Yeah.
Now, for our listeners, do we have to pay a tax stamp on each individual firearm we're putting this on, or just the actual suppressor?
Just one-time deal.
Yeah, see, that's the way to do it.
That's what makes it so nice. Now you have one suppressor you can use on everything, and you can put it on rifles as well as pistols. Now, understand that and I'm still learning about this, but if you get a suppressor that's made for instance, a 22 rimfire pistol, it's not made to take the blast of a 223 rifle.
Correct.
So if you want one that can be used on everything, get you one that's set up for a rifle, and then you can put it on everything else. It'll be strong enough to take all that pressure.
Correct. They're slightly larger, but it's minimal for the gain you get out of it.
Now, are you going to run into compliance issues with this? You know,
What?
like 922 compliance or anything like that?
I'm just not going to tell anybody. and nobody would ever know because we're only talking about this amongst the three of us, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Sure. No, there's no compliance issues. If you, because it's a suppressor, it's not linked to any particular gun.
Right. It's not a firearm.
I see.
So you can stick it on anything. That's why a lot of people get the 308 caliber suppressor so they can use it on their 223 and their 308 and, frankly, anything else.
It's a little front heavy, a little muzzle heavy on,
It is.
on an LCP.
Yeah, just a smidge. And you got to glue these really tall sights on it so you can see over the can.
And the holster's ridiculous.
Yeah. You talk about, you really do need, people that haven't thought about it, you need tall sights to be able to see over a suppressor because your typical sights are so low, you're actually looking into the back of the can.
Sure.
So, yeah, just another... Hey, all that means is you get to accessorize more.
Oh, shucks. I hate when that happens.
More stuff about Hello Brownells.
Yeah.
It's me again.
They're on my speed dial.
Yeah, it's me again. So, when you guys go to the Brownells website, do you ever do like I do? You just kind of cruise around and go, that is so cool. I don't even know what that is, but it's cool.
Well, actually, I'm addicted to the catalog. It's my bathroom reading.
That may be a little bit TMI. I don't
It's
know.
more the visual you didn't need. I understand, but it's
but
great.
no, I know what you mean. And I know that all the cool stuff is online, but you're right. If you have the catalog, you can flip through it and just there's this joy of discovery that comes from flipping around. It's kind of like when we in the old days, when us old guys were young, we would have an encyclopedia at home. And you'd look up something, but in the process, you're flipping through and you're finding something else, and you read about that, and you find something else. That's kind of what the Brownells catalog is. You're going, well, look at that cool thing. I wonder what it is. And then you read the description. You go, oh, okay.
Yeah, kind of like when I was a kid, we used to go through the JCPenney and the Sears catalog, and you got to pick something from each page. If you could pick one thing from this page, what would it be?
Oh, really? I never did that. That sounds like fun.
Probably because you had a normal family.
I don't know about that. That may be going just a little bit too far.
Going on a limb.
There's not a day that goes by I don't have something firearms related added to my wanted list. Not a day. Not a day.
I was just writing the new Gun Talk newsletter would be going out this week, and I put a little piece in there about I'm finally going to settle the whole deal of 9mm versus 40 versus 45. And the bottom line was it doesn't matter. Statistically, there's no difference in the stopping ability of all of them because the truth of it is they all suck. They're all awful. None of them will stop an attacker worth a darn.
Shot placement.
Which is why shot placement and repeat as necessary. In my mind, when I go through the mental scenario of being attacked and I'm going to shoot, I start with 5 shots. I am just going to hose, 5 into the Boilermakers. We're going to get that done. And that's how we're going to start the conversation.
Yeah, I carry a 225, Tom.
A 225?
Yeah, it's 5 shots with a 45.
There you go. If you have to shoot, then everything else is decided. There's no such thing as shooting too many times. There's no such thing as too much. There's no such thing as overkill, which people always say, well, isn't that overkill? No, I don't think so. The goal is to stop them. I don't know if I ever told you guys about the cop I talked to who did a case where a guy got shot in the chest with a .44 Magnum, and the guy who was shot got up, went outside, got in his car, drove away, got about 100 yards before he died.
Wow.
.44 Magnum.
Whoa.
So you go, okay. So you just have to keep, rinse and repeat, do it as often as possible or as necessary until the threat stops or until you can get away or whatever.
I guess my question there would be, did he put his seatbelt on? Do you have time to...
Yeah, that's true, because it wouldn't be safe otherwise.
Right.
And we're all about the safety here.
Sorry, guys.
Michael, when you're teaching, you teach a concealed carry class, right?
That's correct, yep.
Do you get into that? Do you talk about multiple shots, that type of thing?
Well, yeah, and we do all. We like to open up the floor to questions because, a new shooter, somebody that's maybe not experienced whatsoever, sometimes has the absolute best questions that you've never even thought of.
Sure.
But yeah, the first and foremost is we do teach you to end the threat. Go no further than to end the threat, but however it ends, that's the way you do it. You end the threat. That having been said, we had a case here locally not too long ago where a store clerk was being robbed. Ended the threat in his eyes. He did fire a couple shots at the perpetrator, dropped the perpetrator to the ground, and then went out against another one of the people that were actually involved in the robbery attempt. Couldn't find the other guy, came back in. Well, the guy was still alive, so we put a couple more rounds back in him. And that, okay, so you're not really contradicting yourself. You did end the threat, but at the same time, the threat to you was over after you left after the first volley. So you got to be very careful about that. That's
probably a trip to Club Fed, or you're probably going to get. I mean, you're going to get arrested. You may get convicted. You may get thrown in prison. The point I want to make is so that people understand what we're talking about, because we kind of speak the shorthand sometimes. If you have pulled your gun out and the guy runs away, the threat is over. Mm-hmm. Don't shoot. If you pull your gun out and you shoot and miss and he runs away, the threat is over. He's not a threat to you anymore. Right. Don't shoot anymore. If you shoot him and hit him and he falls down and the gun clatters across the room, he's not a threat. If he turns and runs out the door, don't chase him down the street. And these are all things, and I guess this is where I would ask you guys to weigh in. These are things that you have to have thought about ahead of time, because you cannot come up with these decisions on the fly when it's actually going on, right?
Right. Well, how many times have you heard somebody say, well, if somebody did that to me, I'd kill him? Well, you're setting yourself up right there. If, God forbid something does happen, somebody could testify, well, he said if anybody ever broke in his house, he was going to kill him. Well, you didn't have to kill him.
And that declaration of saying you're going to do that thing is ingrained in your own memory. Yep, that's what I'm going to do, even if it's not what you want to do.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought of that one, because, yes, certainly what you say, either in person or, by the way, people, online, absolutely will be used. Everything you ever said online will be hauled into court, guaranteed. Any forum you went on, any Facebook posting, anything like that will all be there. And subtleties get lost in online comments, and, if you're making a joke, that gets lost, so you better be careful about that stuff. But, Michael, to your point, if you say that, you can actually be programming yourself in a way.
Sure. Absolutely. Every statement you make is a creation thereof of itself. So if you look at it that way, I am going to be happy today is a lot different than saying I feel happy today.
Yeah, well, it's, I always have said everything you expose yourself to changes you in some form or fashion. If you expose yourself to good people, smart people, you tend to gravitate to be that. If the example I've used before is, if you expose yourself to pornography all the time, then that affects you. So choose, look, if you're watching stupid reality TV, it makes you dumber by the minute. Give me a break. I swear I'm getting to where I don't even want to watch anything on TV anymore. So much of it's just so stupid.
Yep. I don't even turn the television on anymore, just for that very reason.
Yeah, well, thank goodness for DVRs. Except, of course, you always watch Guns and Gear and Gun Talk Television, I know.
Yeah, I'm going to excuse myself because Honey Boo Boo reruns are coming on. I have to...
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, listen, guys, I think we'll wrap up our After the Show show. We're still looking for some comments. I know people are downloading this and listening. We're looking for your suggestions for a good name for this. You can shoot them to me, Tom, at guntalk.com. And anything you guys like to add?
No, I don't think so, but thanks.
Okay. That's right. You don't call him the best color man in the business for nothing.
Yeah, there you go. Nice.
All right. We'll do it next week, guys.
Take care.
Now, wasn't that fun? You'll probably want to join us again next week for the Gun Talk After Show. It comes up right after the radio broadcast right here. It's where Tom and some of the crew and staff stick around and let their hair down a little bit, doing what they do best, talking about guns. We'll see you right here next week.